files are the ones that we're going to be learning on. I'm going to make a new class. And I'm going to delete all the data and copy the scan example. Now this scan example, we're going to go through every line. This imports the scanner tools so that it works. This is the public class. This can be named anything I want, so I'm going to literally say anything because it really doesn't matter. This is just a user-friendly name. That's it. Then we have the public static void main method, which is the standard. This is how to create a basic program. This line creates the scanner to actually read in from the end user while the program is running. This next line, they actually do this in a quite interesting way. They use a standard print line or print function. You can make it a line if you want, doesn't matter. And then what you're doing here is you're taking the value that the user puts in, reading it as a line, so once you hit enter it reads the line, and then it stores that value in this variable name. So down here, if I were to go, it would output just the name. So let's compile and run it and see what happens. So when I run this, I say Nate the Great, and I put in 2 more values, and it says hello Nate the Great, exactly as I typed it here, which is actually pretty cool, because that means I can use this for any number of things. Next thing we have, this is taking in a string. So realize it's next line. Then one down here is an int, so I take in next int. That means you have to do error checking to make sure the user is smart and doesn't do something like this, where I go like this, and I want to go up, change this to this, and money and wallet, and I'm going to say /n cats and /n monies. /n means end line. I don't know why they did that way. To space it out every 2 lines, I guess. I'm not sure, but I'm going to run the program now. And what is my name? Shut up. How many cats do you have? I have 3 cats. And how much money is in my wallet? $1. So what does it say? It says, hello, shut up. How many cats do I have? 3. How many monies? I have 1. Now, when I run this again and mess up, if I say hello and hello, it's going to break. I typed hello and I typed hello and it broke. And it gave me an error message. Input mismatch. Now the bad part is when I close out and try to run it again, sometimes it doesn't work. To fix that, you literally have to close out of Java completely. And what's happening here? I can't close out of Java. That's because it's running. It's like an infinite loop waiting for the end user to type in data. So to stop that, you have to hit Control-Shift-R or right-click, reset, close this, and I'm going to close this back out, assuming that it broke, which it didn't, but if it did, that's what you do to fix it, and then I can rerun it. So again, it's asking for a string, I need to put a string. It's asking for an integer, I need to put an integer. If I put a double, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to break. It's going to say Java input mismatch exception, which means it wants an int, I gave it a double. So now when I rerun it again, what's my name? String, number, and 2 points. Key thing here is checking for user input when you're running the program, which you could just have it break if the user puts in wrong data. That's perfectly okay. Another one to do is if you can check the ASCII values of what's typed in, is I wanted you to go through and change the 3 questions. So what do we want the first question to be where the end user is going to give us a string? Enter your social security number. How many credit cards do you have? What is your mother's maiden names? I have to ask for a number. Social security number. And I'm going to say, thank you, name, plus complex string output from if program. Put a space for giving me all your monies. And then I will say, ha ha ha, you will have to file a bankruptcy. Blank, it's a number, I'm going to add in the string, space, many times, you noob. And I just bought a space, that there's a space between the variable and the new sentence, inch TV with your monies. Mwahaha. Now when I run this, let's see what happens. Enter your social security number. I almost typed mine in. 444-555-6666. How many credit cards do you have? I have 6. What is your mother's maiden name, social security number? I'm going to say 40 because my mom's that old. I'm just kidding, Mom. I love you. Thank you for giving me all your monies. 6 times from this 6. And I bought a 40-inch TV with your monies. Moha. Does everyone see that? Then what I want you to do is go in here, copy one of these lines, and then we are going to combine all 3 of these values to make one value. So, in new math plus money in wallet times plus number of credit cards, cats, equals plus name plus comma because of backslash double quote if I want to print the double quote, new math. Backslash double quote to print the double quote and double quote to end it. And then bracket semicolon. And now when I compile and run this, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. How many credits do you have? 7. What's your mother's? And we're going to go 111, 111, 111. Oh, that doesn't work. Hold on. Let me make it so it's more funny. 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 6, 8, 8, 7, and let's just do that. And now if you read that last sentence, in new math, 5,465 times 7 is, what is that, 44 million? Yeah. Because of new math. So that's just something to do. You can do this with your games. You can have this open up before you have your applet open up, and then take in values from the end user. There's a whole bunch of other stuff to do. But you can also do this if you really want. And this is really mean. Prompt the user for data. I want, this is a string. Hello, 2, 3. It still works. We need to get the right to file. This is actually pretty cool. This is if you want to do a save, if you want to do a... So what we're doing here is I have my buffer reader example. What it's going to do is it's going to read, it's going to create this object that says take in input. It's going to try to take in input by reading. I'm going to create a string to get hold the value. I'm going to create BR to read from input.text. And while the thing is not empty, which means there's still an end line or there's still some kind of text in there, it's going to print to the screen the current line. It's going to go till it ends, and then it's going to catch all the errors if there is any. This line right here means once you do get to the end, close the file so you don't still have it open to cause Windows issues. If you ever couldn't move a file in Windows because it was still open, that's because the programmer didn't do that. You manually have to do that every time you open up a file. We're going to change input to lyrics. So we're going to go get this baby, baby, baby lyrics. Do you guys know this song? It's a great song. We need to put these lyrics just like a picture file or a sound file. So just like with your picture and sound files, you need to go into your Java code file, which means project open recent go to fen 18th in my documents. So I go to my documents, fen 18th, and I need to put an input file right here. So I'm going to paste the song as my input, and I'm going to save it. Now the cool thing is, once I run this buffer reader, look what happens. My lyrics automatically go to the screen. The fun thing is, if I go to my lyrics and go edit, replace baby with Sasquatch, if I replace all, I have to save it, otherwise it won't work. But if I run this program, now I have, let's see here, Sasquatch, 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 oh, like Sasquatch, 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 no, like Sasquatch, 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 oh, I thought you'd always be mine, oh, Sasquatch. Why is this useful? To store data, you can store data a lot easier in a text file than in the Java file. If you wanted to change multiple lyrics with only one program, this is what you would do. If you want to take a save file from one computer to the next, this is what you do. Yeah. Sounds great. So let's open up this write to file exam. First, open up this program. What does it do? It says done. Well, whoop-de-doo-da-day. What does that do? This is the content to write into file. Well, let's look at the code now. Where did it get that string? If I change this, and then if I wanted to post something else, I could do int x equals 1337 and boolean no not me equals false. So I would then go write content. I would need to go to Scofusion and get my little code right here, new line, which I keep on forgetting to put in there. And new line basically enters a new line, hit enter key basically. And instead of content, I want X, and here I want no not me. And because this is not a string value, I have to ghetto rig it to make it into a string. And then when I compile it, it'll run. Nothing happens. Nothing happens because my output is sent to the output file. There we go. Which is quite interesting because now every line could be the new variable. So you can create a save really, really quickly. However, it's very easily hacked. Then you need to start going into encryption, how you put in false data in there, just throw everyone off, all sorts of things. These are my import statements, which you just need. There's nothing about that. It's just like with the picture and the sound files, you need those import statements to work. It pulls in all the functions that you need in order for the thing to work. This thing right here can be anything you want. It doesn't matter. And this is just the public void main. You just need that. You're trying to write to the file. These variables we don't need anymore because they're just variables. We're going to be taking the file from current line from the reader thing and putting it into the writer thing to make it work. This loads the file that you're going to output to. If it doesn't exist, you want to create it, which just means make a new text file. Down here we have the file writer, and interestingly enough, we still have the file buffered writer, which does the same exact thing as the buffered image. It just makes it run faster. This is just like our g.drawString line. This is also just like our system.out.print line, or print. More importantly, more print than print line, because this would make it a print line. And then, of course, once we're done writing, we have to close the file, and we usually just output done to the screen so that the user actually knows something happens. Otherwise, they don't think the program worked. Now, what we need to realize is everything up here is required to start it. Everything down here is required to end it. This is where the magic happens. So I'm going to cut this magic and move it up here temporarily. And what we need to do is we have two options. The red represents read, the green represents write. We need to put the read inside the write, because the write can happen anytime. The read loops through. If we did it the other way around, it would loop through every time trying to write. It just wouldn't be as efficient. Realize this is the only stuff I didn't take from the previous code. Why? This is generic, and this just closes those generic lines. Comp, math, period, 7 for life. I don't know. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this. Now realize this is input. It ran. And output, there it is. Input, output. Does everyone see that? And let's just take this. I have way too many. So I'm going to take input. I'm going to paste my input right here. Now, I already have it so that it writes to the file. So what I want to do is I want to change. What do we want to change about this song? What don't we like about it? How about we make life easy and say, whenever there's baby, we turn it into Cena. So we need to go to this string functions page, because this string functions page is your life for the next 2 years. What it is it gives a whole bunch of nonsense, and you scroll down to string methods. This is where it's at. What we want to do is we want to find a function that we want to do. And I'm actually reading all these while I'm scrolling. We could do copy value of ends with, there we go, this one. Returns the index within this string of the first occurrence of the specified string. So what this is going to do, it's going to turn baby, baby, baby into Cena, baby, baby. So let's try this. So we're going to copy this code. I don't need these anymore. And I want to go into this part of the code right here, during the while loop, right before I write it. And I want to go this function. Now, please realize when we're over on this, my int, this int right here, means it returns a number. So when I call the function index of, and I need to put as current line dot, so the string of as current line, give me the index of the following string. So I'm going to type in baby. Now this gives me a number, which means I want to say the array position of this in s current line I want to replace with, so s current line of this is actually the function that I need. Returns a string with a string. So this is not what I wanted to do because I can't really access it that way. So what I want to do is I'm going to return the string. So I'm going to say s current line equals, because it returns a string, I'm going to set that to the string of current string dot replace all with what the string that I want to replace is baby. The string that I'm replacing it with is, and I'm going to do capital C. Case does matter. And now I run it. What happens? Nothing. Oh, that sucks. Why does nothing happen? Yeah, I just want to take a drink of soda. Sorry. So you're right, though. It is in the output file. So let's take a look at the output file and look at that. Cena, 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 no. Like Cena, Cena, Cena. Oh. Yes. Okay, so now what we need to learn about is functions. So please quiet down. We need to understand that this is basically a function right here. So how this all relates is we're going to go into this scanner example, and instead of all this nonsense, I'm going to delete this, delete this. All I care about is my operation. And I'm going to delete all this, and I'm going to say, which function do you want to run? 1 through 9. And whatever that is, I'm going to run this function. So we're going to say if operation equals 1, then we're going to go and say John Cena for the win. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to combine this scanner function with our reader-writer tool to make it so that the user can say this is the function I want to do. So to show you what would actually happen is you'd run this function and you'd say what function do I want to do? 1. Now, this would then, instead of outputting John Cena for the win, it could still output that, but then it's going to run this one where it changes all the strings to John Cena. Does everyone see that? So you're actually running this function because of that user input. So again, you would basically put something here, if operation equals 1, then do this. Does everyone see that? Now, we're going to have this be a function call instead of just a if statement, which we're going to get into that later, don't worry. Until we get into that, we're just going to comment these out with block comments and say, okay, now we have the one rule, let's make another one. Please realize this is like the Javadocs, which is on Oracle. So if you go to Javadocs, This is now going to be your new home. So the Javadoc tool homepage. This will define you as a programmer if you can actually read through this. So what we want to do next is, there it is. So parameter. So if I go into parameter, it says all the different things about parameter. Now realize this is the return function. So it returns a string of this. If you click on the tool, it gives you a more detailed version of this. The thing that sucks about this is you literally have to know what you're doing to get into this stuff. However, people are really nice, and they make ghetto Javadocs, which basically is this, where it puts it into a form where you guys can actually understand. So how do we want to do this? First thing when we want to program this is we want to set up how to replace the string. So if I have the word baby, and you guys want to pig Latin it, what was it called it? Okay, how do I pig Latin it? How do I change this? A goes front, A, B, Y, and then this goes to the end, right? Oh, and so I add in an AY. I knew how to do this, but why did I write this out? What's it called? Pseudocode. Because each one of these colors now represents a different section of code that you have to code. So, what if I were to change every line to the string ha 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 ha? Now, what's going to happen is when I run this, watch what's going to happen. So instead of the code, the lyrics, all I get is ha 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 ha. Does everyone see that? And that's from this code. Because every time I loop, when I get a line, I output ha 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 ha. That would be an easy thing to implement. This is Mr. Benson signing out. Have a great day.